morning. Today I'm very happy to welcome Christina Georgiou. She's an award-winning composer and screenwriter talking to us from Cyprus. I will say good afternoon since you are in Cyprus. Christina, how are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well. How are you?
Fine, everything is fine. First, I want to thank you to come on the live. We did an interview for you a couple of years ago on the website, meetingvenus.com.
Yes.
And right now, I would like to first to ask you about your beginnings. How did you get interested in filmmaking and music and your music studies as well? How did it start?
Well, the music study started from very early on. I started at the age of 5. I had an innate talent for music and a good ear. And eventually, after my studies at the University of London, at King's and at City, I came back to Cyprus at the age of 22, and I was asked to compose music for a documentary. And when I did that, I actually liked it very, very much. And that one thing led to another, and eventually I ended up making that my main profession.
Great. Tell me, after you did your PhD in music studies in London, why did you decide to go back to Cyprus?
Basically, I was doing my PhD while I was in Cyprus working, because I couldn't really sustain myself financially and do both. So I decided to be here and practice what I had learned so far, and at the same time study for that PhD. It took me 6 years to finish it. But it was a very exciting 6 years, a lot of research, a lot of traveling to different countries to find manuscripts. It was a study of Mozart's piano sonatas and the manuscripts and the editions. So it was very exciting trying to track down the different sources. And I even managed to date an edition that wasn't dated. So it was really like an archaeologist kind of job, which was another big love of mine when I was a kid. I really loved archaeology.
Yes. And what was the topic of your PhD?
Essentially, what I studied was how the text evolved from Mozart's manuscript to current editions based on performance practice, on editorial practice, on printing practices, and all of that. So it's tracking the text from its beginnings to today, basically.
Great. And I see you have a great love of Mozart.
I do.
What
I
do you
find
think of the movie
him.
Amadeus?
Oh, it was a movie that really marked me when I watched it. I was a young
Really?
teenager at the time. Yes, I found it. I mean, the movie has a lot of inaccuracies, and obviously there was no such thing as a huge vendetta between Salieri and Mozart, and no conspiracy over there. But other than that, what the way that the Mozart character is portrayed as this very humorous kind of out of the box guy, it's all true. If you read the letters and the humor they had as they shared as a family, all of it is there. So it fascinates me how a person can be so many things at the same time, have so much depth in their music, but also playfulness. It's something that fascinates me, especially in terms of the ingeniousness behind the whole the way that he writes. I find it fascinating.
Yes. You know, I like very much when a Murray Abraham got the Oscar and said he was hoping that Tom Hulce, who portrayed Mozart, got an Oscar as well, because I think they did a great performance, both of them,
Yes, it was
in the
pretty
movie.
extraordinary what they managed to do, and the chemistry between them, and how the whole thing was constructed. It worked very, very well.
You know, Christina, I was reading the interview we did on our website, and something you mentioned, I want to elaborate about it with you regarding about the number of women music composer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's I mean it's an artistic career, I think dominated by men all the time, because when I say music composer, I say for soundtracks, particularly in films, I say
Mm-hmm.
Vangelis, I say John Williams, I say Bill Conti, I say Pino Donaggio from Italy, I say Jerry Goldsmith, Michael Kamen. All of them, I love their music, you know, and of course, many European and American composers. In addition, I'm in Asian, but really it is dominated by men. But I want to ask you, what do you think about that? Also, and you did yourself some music composing, but I think the few soundtracks I heard from women were very great. While I was preparing, I remember that 2 years ago, the television series on Marvel, Lucky, was composed by a young woman, and she did a very good, I mean, intro for the credits of the series. So tell me, what do you think about that?
That's a very good question, and thank you for asking it. I really believe that this is a very man kept profession for very wrong reasons. And one of the reasons is that females didn't have any role models, or if they did, they were hidden from them. So throughout history, there are female composers, but they never entered the canon, as we say, the canon of classical music or composition. And so myself, when I was younger, I never considered becoming a film composer, because I didn't think it was a viable profession, especially coming from a very small island. But you see that now with the online content and the TV series and the music for video games, there's a lot of female composers that are emerging and are doing a fantastic job. And I'm very proud to be in that 5% of women. I really hope that in the future years, that percentage is going to change and it's going to be much higher than it is right now.
Tell me a little bit about the writing you did. You know, I don't remember if we met during. I was jury in Cyprus Short Film Festival, if you remember.
Yes.
And I love my wife. My wife loved Cyprus. My wife is from Latin America, but she loves the Middle East, the Mediterranean. I mean, our culture, especially between Cyprus, Egypt, and Greece. A lot of things in common, and we love Cyprus. And I noticed that you most of your writing so far are either episodes or television. I mean, short films. So tell me about your writing. What is your focus, and do you have a project like a long feature documentary or narrative in the can, like they say, in your music box?
Yes, thank you. Basically, what I enjoy writing about is it has a lot to do with gender issues, but also with the dynamics among relationships, among family members, the tensions that are over there. Um, at the same time, I am very fascinated by genre films, so uh, I can I also have a tendency to write things that are not particularly festival material. They're more commercial in some ways. In terms of documentary writing, I completed a feature documentary on stray dogs. It's called The Stray Story, a documentary with a G, which travel the world. We received 13 international awards in festivals, and we are actually going to release online next month. We're going to have a premiere on the 16th of July online for free for everyone to watch, because it's a documentary meant to raise awareness about the issue of stray dogs, how it's created, how we can prevent it from getting worse. And then it's going to be available on most platforms online. So I'm working on the distribution and the promotion of that right now. And at the same time, there are other projects that are I'm preparing, but it's very early stages, so I would rather not disclose anything right now about those.
You know, in Egypt and I think in Greece and Cyprus, there are love of cats as well. So what about cats in your life?
It's yes, I mean, I love all animals, and I think that the issue with stray cats is also a very, very big issue. It's much bigger than the dog issue. In Cyprus, for instance, we have maybe twice as many residents of our cats, you know. So we have about 1 million people living on the island, and we've got maybe 2 million cats that are stray. The issue with cats, it's much more difficult because they reproduce a lot more, and it's much tougher to capture and spay, neuter, release, and all of that. But it's all a matter of repeated government policy. If governments took it seriously, that this abuse cannot continue for forever, you know, they would spend the money that is required to start a spaying neutering campaign, and to apply penalties to those who abuse or abandon animals, and that would definitely reduce the problem to a great degree. But at the same time, I am running some educational lectures to raise awareness in schools and in any other function that we are invited. And we go there to raise the issue, to explain how easy it is to become responsible guardians for animals, and also how easy it is to prevent the problem from expanding and from continuing. So we're hoping that by raising a new generation of people that are aware of these circumstances, the situation is eventually going to change, because awareness is key, and film, I believe, is a powerful weapon when it comes to passing on different messages to people and having an open mind when they watch things. So that's why I decided to go that way when it comes to this goal that is very close to my heart.
You know, I didn't know about the statistics about how many cats in Cyprus. I should have noticed to adopt a couple of them when we went back to Egypt, you
Oh,
know.
please,
But
please do.
but
we
we have
can we can.
here. I have 7 cats here in
Oh,
our
wow.
house in Ecuador, and I when the cat, had four kittens in January. My wife would like to make us some people adopt them, but I couldn't. I felt they are our kids as well, you know. And
Yes.
they are great animals. And the neighbors have dogs as well. But
Mm-hmm.
speaking of Cyprus, I want to ask you because I'm familiar with production from Cyprus, short
Mm-hmm.
and very few long. Tell me what is the status right now of the production and how the government is helping the new generation of filmmakers.
Well, the situation is fairly good at the moment. We have a program that supports local filmmakers through funding, and at the same time, another program has been created with tax incentives for foreign films to come over and shoot, which, if treated properly, is actually a very effective system. So you will see a lot of Cypriot productions that are doing fantastic in festivals abroad. We've got films that are competing in Rotterdam, and in Berlin, and in big festivals. And I really think that there's huge talent in Cyprus, which is it's supported to the degree that the film fund can support. But we have to admit that the funding pie, if we can call it that, is quite small, considering that there's a lot of filmmakers, and at the same time, there are no other ways of funding films in Cyprus. There are no investors. There are no ways of advertising products through movies and that sort of thing. So we do rely a lot on public funding for making our films, and we rely on co-productions with other countries. Otherwise, it's quite tough. If you consider that a decent movie would cost at least 1 million, and we've got something like 1,500,000 for all of the productions that happen in a year or two, then you can understand that the funding is quite limited, but it's still a big step to start. It's good support.
Great. Christina, I want to thank you very much for this live interview. I wish you all the best as a filmmaker and a music composer.
Thank you so
I
much.
look forward to the release of your new documentary film. I hope to see it online soon. And I look forward to come back to Cyprus because it's a country I love very much, and I have many friends like you.
Great, it will be lovely, and then we'll get you some more cats and you can take them back home.
Yes, 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 yes. Thank you very much. Wish
Thank
you a
you.
lovely evening. Say hi from me to all our friends and colleagues in the film and music industry in Cyprus. Thank you very
I
much.
will do. Thank you. Have a good
Take
day.
care. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
Bye.